Wonderful Counselor, Mighty God, Everlasting Father, Prince of Peace. Of course, the first I think of is Handel's Messiah. For all those music lovers amongst us that can hear the Handel's music to those words, it's become prophetic and profound in its own way over time. This morning, when I got into my office and saw that Nancy had once again lovingly left my mail on my desk, I found this postcard from BU School of Theology. And granted, they send me mail all the time asking for money, being an alumnus. But I love this beautiful poem that Dean Sojin Pak wrote for this year on the postcards that went out. It's titled The Star. Cold is the night, the world awry, hope a stretch too far aside. Where is thy light, O God on high, warmth to hold us when we cry? Upon the height, a star so bright beckons back to love's delight. The star is you, the star is me, incarnate divinity. That was a beautiful reminder of this season and what it brings. That we are blessed to be incarnate deity, to divinity, to be with the Christ that loves us so much. And as Isaiah's words proclaimed to us, the people who walked in darkness have seen a great light. These words are not just poetic, they're a promise that God would not abandon us to the darkness, but would meet us there with light. On Christmas morning, we celebrate that this promise has taken on flesh. The light Isaiah proclaimed is no longer just a hope for the distant future. It is born into the world as a child. Not in a palace or a position of power, but in the humblest of places. A manger. Feeding trough. A reminder that God's way of bringing light doesn't look like the world's way of doing things. Isaiah tells us that this child will be called Wonderful Counselor, Mighty God, the Everlasting Father, the Prince of Peace. And that his authority will be marked not by domination, but by justice and righteousness, marked by love. From this beginning, God shows us what leadership rooted in love looks like. And as we reflect on the birth of Jesus this Christmas, we are reminded that every person born into this world carries a God-given purpose. It may begin in places as humble as a manger, yet it remains undeniably sacred. Just as the angels summoned the shepherds to seek out and behold the Christ child, so too are we called to go to the most overlooked corners of the world, in the corners of our communities, and recognize the unshakable, unfathomable worth of each individual person and every human life. To embody the promise of Christmas is to live as people shaped by that light. It means allowing Christ's love to move from something we admire to something we practice. It means leading with grace when it would be easier to lead with fear. choosing compassion when the world tells us to harden our hearts, seeing dignity where others have learned to look away. The light of Christ does not only shine for us, it shines through us. Many of you know that often as I pray, I thank God for the way God is working in us, around us, and through us. God's light shines out of us. We embody the promise of Christmas when we become living reflections of God's love. When we welcome the stranger, protect the vulnerable, forgive generously, and dare to believe that peace is still possible. Christmas morning reminds us that God's light has entered the world, and it has not left. That light continues wherever people choose love over indifference and fear, and grace over judgment. So as we celebrate today, may we carry the promise of Christmas beyond this space. May we embody Christ's light in our words, our actions, and our care for one another. And may the world, walking in its own forms of darkness, glimpse that great light through us. Amen.
Amen.